Welcome to the Hearts Entwined podcast. In this podcast, we'll be having discussions around the secrets which attract lasting, healthy, fulfilling relationships, creating a healthy mindset, and what women should know and understand about men. Introducing your host, Lynn Smith, the Queen of Hearts, relationship expert, trainer, speaker, and best-selling author of the Cupid's Bow technique. Lynn's mission is to have a positive impact in reducing divorce, domestic violence, and suicide.
Welcome to the Hearts Entwined podcast. This is your host, Lynn Smith, the Queen of Hearts. And today, listeners, I'm going to be talking about 5 dating tips for women over 60. And being a woman over 60 myself, as of January 2026, I thought this would be rather relevant to people who resonate with myself and are of a similar age. So what do we need to consider? With all the wisdom we've gained after being separated, divorced, or widowed, well, we're never too old for love. That's what I know. But then we have to consider, how do we know how to make better choices and exclude those men who just want to have somebody who's going to be their carer, or that they can freeload off, or that have not done work on themselves, so they're, likely to cause a lot of chaos and pressure and stress in your life. So for me, my history is, for those that don't know, I've been in 2 long-term relationships. I was with my ex-husband for 23 years, from the age of 26 until 49. And then within 6 months of separating from him, I met my next relationship, and I was in a long-term partnership with him for 10 years. And we're still friends today, even though we separated 6 years ago, but, decided we're better as friends than we are as partners. And there was big differences in those relationships. My ex-husband, great guy, great man, not got a bad word to say about him. He was a guy who kept me safe. He made me feel loved. He made me feel protected. He was solid. But for some reason, I got to a stage after 23 years in that relationship of feeling it was all very predictable and okay and was satisfactory, and we were happy-ish. But I just felt like, I don't know, I was unfulfilled for whatever reason, and that niggle just festered away at me until, there would come a point where I felt like I had to have the conversation about, I feel this relationship has run its course, sadly. So that was that relationship. And then my next relationship with my long-term ex-partner was, again, a good man, but he came with baggage. We did have a very passionate, very fulfilling relationship in a lot of ways, but within that came a bit of chaos, because he was somebody that had spent his previous probably 30 plus years as an alcoholic, and within weeks of us getting together, he quit the drink. And I'm happy to say he's been sober for nearly nearly 16 years now. So that was a great thing that he did, at the very start of our relationship, and that was all credit to him being open to wanting to heal himself and start that personal development journey. But within that came a lot of chaos and instability, and in the end, that for me was something that was a bit of a deal breaker, because it just drained me emotionally over time. So I'm hoping to attract, for my next relationship, the best of both of those relationships. In other words, I want to attract a guy that makes me feel safe and secure, but also within that, provides stability, but also passion, and helps me to feel cherished, alive, and fulfilled. So my dating tips for women over 60 are: number 1, it's okay to express your wants, needs, and desires, and want a man for whom, you can express all those things, and he's willing to listen, he's willing to learn and grow with you and not be a burden, because I think if somebody isn't willing to grow and learn alongside you, inevitably at some point you're going to start growing apart. And I think that's what happened in my relationship with my ex-husband. I started my healing journey. I have had a lot of baggage that I needed to resolve and a lot of trauma that needed to be healed. And he was happy for me to go on that healing journey, but he wasn't happy to be a part of it, and take part in that personal growth for himself as well alongside me. So I think that's what I suppose was the start of us growing apart within that sort of relationship. So I do feel that you need to be attracting a guy, or guys if you're dating at the moment, that are willing to go on that growth journey with you, and not just support just you doing your own thing. Otherwise, inevitably, you're going to grow apart or grow at different stages, and then there's going to be a big divide between you. Dating tip number 2 would be prioritize your energy. Your health and safety have to be number 1. Really, really, really need to prioritize that. And in conversations with a man, whether that's in person or over the phone, I want you to notice how your body feels. Do you feel at calm and peace, or do you feel stressed and drained? Because if you feel drained, this is a red flag. So check in with yourself and do trust your intuition on that. We're ladies of an age where, for me especially, it's all about peace, love and harmony. I don't want any more chaos in my life. Yes, I'm open to obviously having and understand there's going to be some sorts of differences of opinion, but I want to be able to resolve that as an issue that we both work on to resolve, rather than it being me versus you or them versus me situation. It's us against the problem, not he is the problem scenario. So think about how you're feeling. If you're in the dating pool at the moment and you're speaking to a guy, or different guys in fact, check in with yourself and notice how you feel after having a conversation, because that's always a guide as to whether this guy could potentially be good for you, or you need to rule him out basically. Number 3 is we're now at an age where we need to focus on ourselves. So you've done your bit being probably previously a wife, a mother, a carer. So now a potential partner needs to be someone who inspires and supports your personal growth and healing. And he shouldn't feel threatened by it, because, some guys, it makes them feel uncomfortable, doesn't it? If you're on that path and they don't feel as though they're there yet. You want to be attracting somebody that's doing the work, or open to doing the work at least, and that isn't threatened by you still wanting to do some work on yourself. So if you're feeling held back or dumbed down, then just know that, he's not the right guy for you. Number 4 is previously you might have prioritized children, marriages, relationships, work, caregiving, whatever. You've worn all these different hats to get to this wise age that you are now. But this will have come at an emotional and financial cost. So we need to consider, minimizing that future cost going forward, don't we? And what would be the cost of having a new relationship? So if you're doing any dating at the moment, I want you to tune into yourself and actually be very much more consciously aware of how you're feeling, And if you're feeling any negative emotional or financial pressure, just remember that you deserve a safe home and stability. And you don't need to compromise on that. You know, any guy that wants to jeopardize that in any way, shape or form in terms of how you feel regarding your own safety and stability, then, you know, trust, again, your intuition on that as to whether this is going to be a relationship that's worth you investing in going forward. And then finally, tip number 5 is you really, or we all do, we really deserve a man who cherishes us and treats you, me, other women of a certain age like a queen. You don't want to be attracting guys who only offer minimal investment and, you know, breadcrumbs. So don't ever be afraid of valuing yourself. Don't be afraid of being on your own, because it's better to be on your own than have your own energy impacted to a point where you're not feeling fulfilled, safe, secure, or happy in your own life. And I want you to really think about, if you don't already, adopting a positive mindset based on love, abundance, faith and trust, rather than fear, lack, worry and doubt. Because we can make our lives a self-fulfilling prophecy depending on what mindset we're in. So, in other words, if we're focused on adopting a mindset of love, abundance, faith and trust, then we're more likely to attract that in our reality. Whereas if we're, you know, living our lives from a place of fear, lack, worry and doubt, then we're more likely to attract more of that in our lives. So I want women to really consciously, from the moment they wake up in the morning, get more grounded in focusing on what's going to help them attract and create their best, most happiest, fulfilling life, and living with peace, calm and harmony. So I hope that's been helpful. And I would just like to end, as I usually do, with true love starts with opening our hearts. And until next time, goodbye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Hearts Entwined podcast. You can follow Lynn via the Facebook group Two Hearts Entwined, or search Lynn Smith, inspirational speaker, at LinkedIn, or email lynn@hearts-entwined.com. That's LYN@hearts-entwined.com. Remember, true love starts with opening our hearts.
This episode was brought to you by Disruptive Media, helping bold entrepreneurs stand out through podcasting, video, and social content. Visit disruptivemedia.co.uk to learn more.